It started with Netflix's most expensive gamble, and now, shocking notes found in Meghan Markle's old office could trigger a corporate storm. Plagiarism claims, fake test screenings, and whispers of a lawsuit. This is the drama Netflix never wanted you to see. Netflix has faced public backlash before, but this time feels different. Over the past year, the streaming giant has been hit from all sides, removing fan-favorite shows, replacing them with underwhelming originals, and hiking subscription prices again and again. That frustration only grew when they doubled down on With Love, Meghan, a show that had already split audiences in its first season. Viewers questioned why the company would invest even more into a project surrounded by so much controversy, especially when new seasons of beloved series were being canceled without warning. For Netflix, the optics were brutal. Instead of championing the next binge-worthy hit, they were tied to a polarizing celebrity whose public image had shifted from glamorous royal to relentless headline magnet. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, Netflix's co-CEOs, were reportedly focused on steering the platform back toward its most successful shows, but they found themselves pulled deeper into a storm they didn't entirely control. And yet, what was unfolding behind the scenes was far stranger and far riskier than anyone outside Netflix suspected. Because while executives worked to keep the public calm, something discovered inside Meghan Markle's former office would soon ignite a wave of whispers across the entire film industry. When Meghan Markle's role as executive producer on With Love, Meghan Season 2 came to an abrupt end, few expected her departure to make more headlines than her arrival. But soon after she left, Netflix staff were tasked with clearing out her workspace at headquarters, and that's when the real trouble began. Buried inside her desk were a series of handwritten notes and printed instructions addressed to her production team. At first glance, they looked like standard creative direction, but as executives read through them, the tone and intent raised serious red flags. One set of notes instructed her staff to binge-watch entire runs of Pamela Anderson's Cooking with Love and multiple episodes of Rachel Ray's cooking show. The assignment wasn't casual. It came with detailed follow-up instructions. Meghan wanted her team to break down the shows scene by scene, noting structure, presentation style, and even recurring on-camera moments that kept audiences hooked. The ultimate goal, as laid out in her words, was to feed her these findings so she could apply the same elements to With Love, Meghan. For Netflix, this wasn't harmless inspiration. It read like a blueprint for creative mimicry. The implication was clear. She wasn't looking to create something fresh. She was looking to reverse engineer proven hits and package them as her own. What they didn't know yet was that this was only the first layer of the problem, because deeper in the stack of papers, another discovery would raise the stakes even higher. As the team sifted through more of the papers, they came across something even more troubling than the copied show playbook. It was another set of handwritten directives, this time outlining a plan that could have fundamentally skewed how, With Love, Meghan was received inside Netflix. In these notes, Meghan requested that her staff convince the company to allow her to handpick select audience members for the show's internal test screenings. On the surface, it sounded like an effort to engage fans, but the notes made the intention plain. Those select viewers would be her most loyal supporters, flown in or otherwise accommodated to ensure overwhelmingly positive feedback during the review process. If approved, this would mean Netflix's own internal data on audience reception would be artificially inflated, creating the illusion that the show was far more popular than it truly was. That illusion could then be used to influence marketing decisions, greenlight future projects, or even push for awards campaigns. The revelation stunned the executives handling the documents. This wasn't simply a matter of questionable creative direction. It was an active attempt to manipulate corporate decision-making from the inside. And the fact that these plans were sitting, undisguised, in her own workstation, only fueled the sense of alarm. For Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, the question wasn't just how to handle the show. It was whether they were now dealing with something that might require legal action. When confronted with the discovery, Meghan Markle reportedly denied any involvement in the plans. She claimed the notes were written by members of her team without her knowledge and insisted she had nothing to do with them. For Netflix, the explanation rang hollow. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters authorized an internal review, pulling past emails and written communications from Meghan's time on the project. What they found only deepened their concerns. The phrasing, tone, and even the quirks of punctuation in the discovered notes matched her personal writing style almost exactly. Certain expressions she frequently used in emails appeared word for word in the directives left in her desk. The evidence suggested that the ideas didn't originate from some rogue assistant. They had come straight from her. The denial, in Netflix's view, was less about clearing up a misunderstanding and more about distancing herself from a plan that had been exposed too soon. This placed Netflix in a dangerous position. Moving forward without addressing the issue could be seen as tacit approval, but taking ag. Aggressive legal action risked turning an already messy public relations situation into a full-blown media circus. Internally, conversations began to shift from damage control to legal strategy. Meanwhile, word of the discovery began leaking beyond Netflix's walls. The entertainment industry is small when it comes to gossip, and whispers about plagiarism and fabricated feedback were already making their way to rival studios. Reports began surfacing that Netflix was quietly consulting legal teams to explore the possibility of a lawsuit. The alleged charges under consideration ranged from breach of contract to attempted fraud, with plagiarism accusations hovering in the background. While no public statement had been made, insiders claimed that conversations between Netflix's legal department and top executives had grown serious in recent weeks. Industry gossip took the story even further. Unverified claims suggested that Meghan's behavior behind the scenes had already been a point of contention before the notes were discovered. Crew members allegedly complained of erratic demands, last-minute changes to scripts, and extended delays caused by personal requests that had little to do with the actual production. Some sources speculated that Netflix had been looking for an exit opportunity from their expensive deal with her long before this incident. Others believed the company would avoid a courtroom battle at all costs, fearing the spectacle could overshadow the rest of their slate and alienate viewers on both sides of the debate. The notes, however, had changed the equation. What might have been brushed aside as creative overreach was now being discussed in terms of corporate manipulation. And while Netflix still hadn't made a public move, the entertainment press was beginning to circle the story like sharks. For Meghan, the narrative was slipping out of her hands. Whether the rumors were exaggerated or grounded in truth, the perception that she was both copying and controlling the reception of her work was beginning to solidify. And once that image sets in, it's hard to erase. Inside Netflix, the fallout was immediate. Marketing teams, already under pressure to deliver a strong campaign for With Love, Meghan Season 2, were forced to navigate an atmosphere of hesitation and mistrust. The scheduled release of the season's trailer, originally set for late July, was quietly pushed back. According to insiders, the trailer was nearly complete, but executives made a deliberate choice. None of the newly shot footage from recent reshoots would be included. Meghan had reportedly fought to have her improvised material showcased in the preview, believing it would generate buzz. Instead, Netflix opted to move forward with the original cut, avoiding the additional costs of re-editing and remarketing. This decision only deepened the tension between Meghan and the streaming giant. For Netflix, it was a strategic retreat, limiting her influence over the final product while minimizing further investment in a troubled project. For Meghan, it was a public snub, a signal that her creative input was being sidelined. Behind the scenes, morale among the production crew was shaky. Some feared the controversy would overshadow the work they'd poured into the show, while others quietly hoped it would all be over soon. The leadership, meanwhile, continued debating whether to escalate toward legal action or simply endure the storm until the season's release. The problem was that neither path offered a clean resolution. The longer the company stayed quiet, the more rumors had to grow. And with the entertainment press circling, silence could soon become its own kind of liability. For now, Netflix app. Ears locked into a wait-and-see strategy. The contract they signed with Meghan Markle years ago is reportedly dense, expensive, and loaded with clauses that make early termination both costly and complicated. According to people familiar with the deal, walking away now could trigger payout obligations so large that even a global streaming giant would feel the hit. That's why, despite the mounting tension, the prevailing belief inside the company is to ride it out. The thinking is simple: finish the season, release it with minimal fanfare, and then quietly sever ties once all contractual obligations have been met. It's a playbook other studios have used before. Disney, for example, followed a similar approach with Ironheart, when internal issues threatened to derail the project. Still, uncertainty hangs over the release. While Netflix aims to drop the season in September, no official trailer has been released, and the marketing push feels half-hearted. Some speculate this is deliberate, a way to fulfill the contract while keeping public attention as low as possible until the deal runs its course. Meanwhile, whispers of legal action remain in the air. No lawsuit has been filed, but insiders suggest that if further damaging information comes to light, Netflix might use it as leverage, either in a courtroom or behind closed doors to negotiate a cleaner exit. For viewers, the unanswered questions only add to the intrigue. Is Netflix playing a quiet long game, or is this simply corporate damage control in real time? And when the season finally lands, will the controversy overshadow whatever appears on screen? From secret notes and plagiarism claims to rumors of staged screenings, the Meghan Netflix saga has become a corporate nightmare. The question now is, will Season 2 be an ending, or just the start? What do you think? Should Netflix take Meghan Markle to court or quietly walk away after this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories like this.